It was homecoming this past Saturday for the Tigers, and boy did they enjoy it. The Tiger Football Report starts now, brought to you by the Green Turtle. Welcome to another edition of the Tiger Football Report. I'm your host, Spiro Morekas, along with the head coach of the Tigers, Rob Ambrose. And coach, the Tigers this Saturday renewing an old relationship against the Bison of Bucknell. It was homecoming for you guys. It had been a month since you had won a football game back in September against Maine. Bucknell was coming off their first victory of the season, so they were coming in on a high note. But you guys pretty much dominated from the opening tip.
Well, we actually we give out awards, game balls, offense, defense, special teams player of the game, and we actually give out a belt, like a championship wrestling belt for a week that you get to wear. And that's for the game-changing play, the thing that really turned the tide. And the conversation was probably the team meeting the night before the game was the game-changing play, that our guys came out on fire. And we had struggled through a bye week, struggled with some injuries, struggled against a good Albany team that's clearly winning, and we just didn't feel like ourselves. And we went about practice after the Albany game like we went about practice in camp. And we said if we prepare to bring our A game, then we will bring our A game, and we're going to say our A game's better than yours. And to a man, that's probably one of the most complete football games I've been around as a coach. It was really fun to do it for homecoming.
All right, the accolades, I mean, I don't know where to start. Well, obviously you start. Tom Flacco threw 6 touchdown passes, all in the first half. The record was 5 by Dan Crowley and Sean Schaefer. And Tom broke the record in the first half. Now, I remember, and Gordy didn't remember it, but I remember that Crowley set the school record with 5 touchdown passes at Charleston Southern, which he also did in the first half.
I was there.
So it's funny that the school record was set in one half, and now it was broken in the first half.
Interesting, yeah. I didn't see that coming. No, we kind of simplified some of the stuff that we did, and it wasn't like I was mandating passes for touchdowns kind of thing. It just worked out the ball. I mean, we ran the ball extremely well. Just circumstances.
200-yard rushers.
Which we haven't done in a long, long time. Things just worked out that way, and they weren't exactly drawn up for Shane. It was just if this, then that, and it worked out that way. Some days it happens like that.
So Tom throws 6 touchdown passes, 5 of them to Shane Leatherberry. Chris Clark, who has been in and out of the lineup all year due to injuries, he had a big touchdown catch, probably the easiest touchdown catch he's ever had, because when you look at the replay, there is nobody in the picture besides him, but great to see him back and catching footballs.
It is, he's really gotten a lot better this year. He's kept himself in the box a little bit. He's learned our offense a lot more. And but the play that he did catch his touchdown pass, there were 3 guys trying to defend Shane Leatherberry. And that's what you do. You just take what the defense gives you. You high-low it, and Tom made a good read. He was very, very on time. But it's nice to have Chris back. He had a couple catches. He's really good catching the ball. He's really good in space. And I'm looking at a camera. I don't know which one of these cameras is on, but he's really bad with the ball in his hands running. So we're working on that this week.
Okay, it's 42-7 at halftime. Do you and the coaches start talking about how long do we want to let the starters play, especially because this team has been banged up by injuries and you really can't afford any more? And then the first play of the second half happens. Diego Hunter returns the kickoff for a touchdown to make it 49-7. And does that change what you had just talked about at halftime as to how much people were going to play?
We were really riding this wave of doing it right, having a sense of urgency, being aggressive, playing Mach 10 with your hair on fire, doing the things that you know you're supposed to do the right way, the way you're supposed to do them, no matter what. Doesn't matter what the quarter is, no matter what the situation is. And we went in at halftime, and that's what we talked about, that a good football team keeps this going. You don't accept where you are. We have plays to play, and we need to play them as hard as humanly possible. With that being said, we wanted the starters still have to stay in shape to play a game. And though we ran a lot of plays in the first half, we needed to keep that. So I said, all right, I said, bare minimum, we're going to be in there for two more drives, at least offensively, 2 more drives. And I flipped it with Eric, and I said, we got to substitute piecemeal. I said, and I'd like to, maybe score 2 more touchdowns if that's how it works out, and 2 more drives, and that's it. And then we're going to start rotating. They kicked, and we were very fired up coming out of the gate. Like we wanted to continue what we were doing. We were not going to take our foot off the gas. I really had no idea how hard and real that was going to be as they kicked the ball off to us, and we returned it for a touchdown. And I got on the headset and said, okay, now everybody gets 1 more drive. That's it.
So it did change things.
It did.
Let's talk about the end of the first half. Aiden O'Neill, who's had a rough season so far, 4 of 8 kicking field goals. He makes a 55-yarder, but there was a delay of game penalty because your punter got on the holder got on the field a little bit late. Mm-hmm. But then you decide to try the 60-yarder. And what would have put the icing on the cake, well, actually would have put the cherry on top.
Cherry on the icing on top, yes, I know, and a rose.
Aiden hits the crossbar on a 60-yard field goal, which would have set the school record. He must have been so disappointed that ball just clanked off that crossbar.
Yes,
and
he
you
was.
were angry at halftime.
Oh, I was a little bit, but it's more making a point that the specialists are not different than any of the other guys, that they have a responsibility that they have to adhere to, and we didn't get that done. And that's, in a small way, letting down the group that's selling themselves out for each other, that they have to be involved in this too. So with kickers, it's always a challenge because they are a little bit different, and you got to pick and choose your times of when and when not to. And I would like to think that Aiden's back in the box now, like really, really back in the box. It would have been nice to break that record. It really would have been nice, but it was a good teachable moment for all of them, and it was a good teachable moment for the team because kickers and specialists tend to be a little bit a part of the team, and that's a natural occurrence by the way they have to practice and all that good stuff. But you want them a part of the team, and the team wants them to know that they're a part of the team, and everybody gets treated the exact same way, and we all have a job to do. So it was good for them. They were all smiling afterwards, like, yeah, we screwed this up pretty good,
And now you know that if the conditions are right, he could possibly make a 60-yarder.
This is correct.
Under pressure.
Under pressure.
All right, so the Tigers get the 56-7 victory over Bucknell. Nothing but CAA games the rest of the way, and you couldn't pick a more difficult one than the one coming up this week. Tune in later on this week on TowsonTigers.com as we will talk about the matchup with the number 2 team in the country, the James Madison Dukes. For the head coach of the Tigers, Rob Ambrose, I'm Spiro Morekas. Thanks for tuning in, and as always, go Tigers.